Breaking news. The San Francisco 49ers continue to make some roster adjustments as they have cleared additional cap space with now the restructuring of Arik Armstead. Per Field Yates, the San Francisco 49ers have done a little work on the cap, and in restructuring Arik Armstead, they have succeeded in creating over $11.7 million in cap space for 2023. Now, this is very, very interesting because as it stands currently, right now, the San Francisco 49ers have the most cap space in the NFL in 2023. This year, the 49ers have $41.5 million in cap space heading into this season. Now, why do they have that much cap space? What could they possibly be doing over there? Well, first of all, shout out to Parag Marate. Again, one of the reasons why I have stopped stressing about the cap situation is because this happens all the time. The San Francisco 49ers have a way of taking base salary and converting it into a signing bonus, which clears up the cap space and gives them the flexibility they need for additional moves or signings down the road. Now, what they could be doing is they could be rolling over this cap into next year to be able to pay guys like Brandon Ayuk, extend, maybe Dre Greenlaw, things like that. But again, it also opens up the door for them to make moves right now. And what could those moves be? As we know, Chandler Jones is kind of going through a bit of a situation. And I know many have discussed his potential trade value and his ability to potentially come over to the San Francisco 49ers. And although a good player, he's going through something mentally right now that I don't know the 49ers should go after. I don't know if they should throw their hat into that ring. However, there is a elite edge rusher, and he goes by the name of Brian Burns, and currently is on the Carolina Panthers, and he is not getting paid. He has held in this year, meaning he is looking for a new contract, but he showed up to training camp, he showed up to preseason, and he's been there. Now he held out of practice a couple days earlier this week, but then he returned later in the week, but he is still looking for a contract. The last I've seen it reported, they were a couple $1 million apart in their negotiations, and the season starts tomorrow. So it doesn't appear that Brian Burns is getting a contract extension anytime soon. But does that make him available via trade? Could the San Francisco 49ers give up some assets to go and get him? Now, last year, the Rams offered 2 first-round picks to go get Brian Burns, and the Panthers declined. Part of the reasoning why I think why the Panthers declined was because they needed to attract a head coach, and they didn't want to trade Brian Burns if, in fact, that coach potentially had a future plan for Brian Burns. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know what their plans are for Brian Burns, and that could make him available. And if the San Francisco 49ers are sitting on $43 million in cap space for this year, feels like an opportunity for them to go out and make a splashy move. And if you want to make a splashy move, going out and getting Brian Burns would be the splashiest of them all. He would be an ideal fit across from Brian Burns in this wide 9 scheme. And again, he had 12 and a half sacks last year with Steve Wilks, the San Francisco 49ers current defensive coordinator, who was the interim head coach for the Carolina Panthers last year. So he knows quite a bit about Brian Burns. And hey, look at the Carolina connection. The San Francisco 49ers already have a relationship with their general manager as they executed the trade for Christian McCaffrey. So the groundwork is there for a trade to occur. They've clearly got it done in the past for Christian McCaffrey, a big-time player. You saw what was given up to go get him. The 49ers also have Sam Darnold, and probably on good word from Steve Wilks and Christian McCaffrey and all that type of stuff. And if the 49ers really wanted to go out and get Brian Burns, I do think there is an avenue where they could do that, because now the only thing that was really holding them up in the first place was how are you going to pay him? Where was the money coming from? Et cetera, et cetera. Well, with the 49ers sitting with the most cap space in the NFL right now, there seems to be an opportunity available for them to potentially pay him and push that money out into the future. Now, obviously, It would be it's not a slam dunk that the San Francisco 49ers are going to go out and trade for Brian Burns, but the uh, opportunity I think is there. And I think that's what's most exciting about this is that it may never happen. They may never trade for Brian Burns. Brian Burns may never get traded from the Panthers, but the opportunity is available. And that's what's exciting about this is that if they really wanted to, if they were motivated, if they were willing to give up assets and if they were willing to pay him based on the breakdowns right now with the Carolina Panthers, I think you could go get Brian Burns. Now, I've told you, I've been saying this for better part of 2 years now, kind of alluding to this situation, and it's as each day comes closer, seems like it could come to fruition. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if they're going to do it. But what do you think? Should the San Francisco 49ers use this cap space for a big, big move? Should they use it to just roll it over into next year for future signings like Brandon Ayuk? What do you think the San Francisco 49ers are doing right now with all this space? I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.